I want to start with the starting pitching market. Do you think that any of the big longer-term names will move? I saw you tweet yesterday about Sandy Alcántara, Mitch Keller, any of those types of names. I know we've asked you about MacKenzie Gore. Where are you at with that market?
Yeah, so look, everything changes, right? We get so many twists and turns at this trade deadline. It's kind of been fascinating for me. I've really enjoyed the ride. Last weekend I was being told that Alcantara is probably not going to be moved because no one's valuing him even close to what he was in 23 when he won NL Cy Young Award. Well, everything has changed. I mean, somebody stepped up yesterday and made an offer that has motivated the Miami Marlins. And there may be two teams. I know there's one. There may be two. And now, in all likelihood, he is going to get moved tomorrow. So it's going to be fascinating to see who's going to pay. I had heard with Joe Ryan first they were listening, and then it was unlikely they were going to trade him. Yesterday I heard the same thing. They're listening on Ryan, and he could absolutely be moved. MacKenzie Gore, I'm not sure. It's complicated with the interim GM, Mike DiBartolo. But, one president of one of the National League teams that has won world championships in the last 5 years told me it's just complete chaos right now. This is really fun, right? Because, if you're a seller, you're going to grind till tomorrow, right? You're going to make them sweat it out. If you're holding one of the top elite relievers or top elite starters, there's no need to make the deal today. I'm going to wait and make you sweat it out. And then if you're a buyer, you're going to sit there and you're going to make a deal as soon as you get a deal you're comfortable with. You're not going to wait for tomorrow's chaos. But it's really fun because we have so many teams looking for the same thing, and there's only so many guys to go around. So I think it's going to be fascinating. I got to be honest.
All right. Will you tell us what team? And is the same teams in on Alcantara and some of the other guys? Or is it, can you tell us? If you can't, then I get it because you don't want to reveal sources.
I can't.
But, okay.
Yeah, the one thing
Dang it, Jim!
The thing that I do, all my sources are GMs or presidents, and the relationship's everything. And if you lose the relationship, then you're done in this business, right? That's my niche and what I bring to the table. So yeah, I'm never going to give them up. But I know one thing: none of them lie to me, and they tell me the truth. And if they tell me I can't say something, I don't. And when I can, I do.
Let's say Alcantara does go. Does that make a team like the Nats, who you talked about DiBartolo? DiBartolo was there. And he was a big part in, from what I heard from people there, he was a big part in the Juan Soto trade, in the return that they got. So he was not like just watching Rizzo. But if Alcantara goes, does that say, whoa, now we know the bar, and we can then level that bar off with MacKenzie Gore? Or is it like, no, we know our value, and it doesn't really matter what happens with Sandy Alcántara?
No, that's a great question, Eric, because the truth is, when you look at teams, only so many teams have enough in their farm system to make those really big trades, to get those impact guys. Joe Ryan or MacKenzie Gore or Sandy Alcántara, and we got to put those three kind of in the same bucket, right? Because they're all controllable. It's not just this year. If you get them, you don't just have an ace for this year, but you have an ace next year and the year after. So if you're sitting there and you have one of the three and you want to move them, I want to be the team that gets the return. I don't want to look up, for example, if I had Joe Ryan, I don't want to look up and see that Peter Bendix just raided, the Red Sox farm system or just raided the Yankees farm system. I want a piece of that. I'm building too. So that's where it gets fun. I don't think there's enough great prospects to go around for all three guys to get traded for the value that we're talking about for those guys. Maybe one, two teams at the most. There's no way all three are getting traded. So I think that's fun. And then the other thing that I really get a big kick out of is everyone keeps thinking that it has to be the contenders trading for these guys. That's really not the case. I was told yesterday the Baltimore Orioles are involved in all three of those guys because they're looking at it like, hey, I can reboot this thing, come back and win next year, but I need an ace. So if I can get Alcantara or Gore or Orion, start to what I'm trying to do next year. So, while they're selling, and the Orioles are certainly planning on selling, they're going to trade all those expiring contracts. O'Hearn, Mullins, Charlie Morton. They may even do Laureano, even though they have an option just because the Reds and the Padres don't stop calling on them. But, I think at the end of the day, I think this is going to be very, very interesting how it plays out.
Okay. So I want to know. When is this going to happen, Jim? When? Because I'm bored now.
Tomorrow.
I'm bored.
It's gonna be tomorrow.
I know, but gosh, why do we wait so long? Why do we have to wait so long?
All right, so let me take you into the war room, right? I was in the war room 17 times, right, as a GM. So you're in the war room, and let's just take the reliever market for a minute, right? I've got them lined up in the order I want to trade for them, right? I've got Duran 1, I got Suarez 2, I got Bednar 3, I got Helsley 4. The list goes all the way down to Cal Finnegan. So I got them in the order I want them, right? But I want Duran first. So I'm talking to Derek Falvey and Jeremy Zola, Minnesota, and I'm saying, you're my top guy. This is the price I'll pay. They say it's not enough. They tell me what they want. I'm still working them. So I'm going to the next team. I'm going to AJ Preller saying, look, I want Suarez, but look, it's just a rental. This is what I'll give, but I'm not giving this if I can get Duran. And then I'm going to John Mozeliak and with Helsley, and I'm going to Ben Sherrington with Bednar. And I say, look, if I can get Duran or Suarez, I'm doing that. If not, I'm either coming to you to get Helsley or Bednar. This is what I'm willing to do. And then you're going to get a feel for how close you are of doing the deals and figure out, what am I close? What am I not close? You're trying to communicate as much as possible on the phone with the text to find out where it's going. But if you're Minnesota and you're at the top with Duran, who is the most coveted closer, I'm going to wait until one of you blink. I don't have to trade him. So I'm going to wait until tomorrow at 5 p.m., 5:10 p.m. I'm going to know what's on the table, and then I'm going to make the decision on 5:10 if I'm going to make a trade on what's on the table, or am I going to go back to you one more time and say, if you add this guy or you add that guy, you got a deal. And then as soon as that happens and you make the deal, then guess what happens to the next guy? There's the domino. There's the pivot. There's the chaos. There's the tornado, the hurricane, all of that, the blizzard. It all happens at once. Boom. And then they all go quickly. And then tomorrow it's absolutely hilarious, and it's great for all of us to cover it.
And that's why we're on for 5+ hours tomorrow with the trade deadline show. We're ready for it.
Wait, is Jim with us for 5 hours tomorrow?
No,
That's what I want.
Jim's busy. Busy, but Jim will join us at some point, I think. Jim, I want to ask you about the Astros. Yes, he will be on with us at some point. So, and I've heard some of your interviews recently with Dana Brown, who's done a great job running this team, despite them missing so many parts, and I think leading the league right now with how many guys are on the IL. The two names that have popped up over the past 24 hours with some reports, including Ken Rosenthal and Chandler Rome, your colleagues at The Athletic. Dylan Cease as a target for them as far as starting pitching. And then this morning, we're seeing some rumblings about Carlos Correa. I wanted to get your thoughts on both of those players. Especially, I'll quiz you on the Correa part once you get to Cease. He's not having a good year. He's got a ton of money left. Would you want him and $100+ million left?
Okay. How much will the Twins pay down? They're going to pay most of it? If they're going to pay most of it, yeah, I'll take him and put him at third base because I don't know how long Paredes is going to be out with a hamstring. I need a bat. They prefer a left-handed bat. They would. They prefer a Brandon Lau. They prefer even O'Hearn, but they're in on Suarez, right? They're in on Correa. I mean, they know they need a bat. He knows it, right? Luckily, Pena's on rehab, so he'll be back soon. I don't know when Paredes is going to be back. I don't know when Alvarez is going to be back. And they're looking in the rearview mirror at Texas and Seattle just coming towards them. So, it depends how much the Twins will pay down and what it's going to cost to answer that question. The Dylan Cease thing, I think will probably happen. Now, it's funny because once Ken Rosenthal and Chandler Rome put that report out there, of course, I followed up their reporting, which they did a great job. And a lot of people are asking, well, why would the Astros want Dylan Cease and be a top target when he's 3-10 with a 4.7 ERA? Great question. All you have to do is look back 12 months ago. What happened at the deadline? You say Kikuchi at the deadline last year was 4-9 with a 4.7 ERA. Dylan Cease right now, 3-10 with a 4.7 ERA. And what happened? Dana Brown said his data room, I like to call it the analytic group, but he calls it the data room. So we'll call it the data room for the Astros. So his data room and pitching room told him the solution they thought they had for Kikuchi. Kikuchi came over and dominated, went 5-1, one of the best ERAs in the league after they got him in August and September. They believe they can do the same thing with Dylan Cease. And the underlying numbers, the strikeouts per nine, I mean, some of these numbers say, yeah, it might be the case. And so that's why they're in on him. They have a plan that if they get Cease, they think they can get him back. And if they make the playoffs, Hunter Brown game 1, Framber Valdez game 2, Dylan Cease game 3. That'd be pretty good if Cease becomes the guy he was last year when he won 14 games.
Do you have the best VPN in the game? Are you saving enough on your VPN? You got to check out surfshark.com/Val or use the code FOUL at checkout on the site to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. There's a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee at surfshark.com/foul. Kratz, if you're on the go a lot, you got to check out Surfshark.
It's a no-brainer. I'm at the beach, so I should know something about a surf shark. Just saying. Get it done. 30 days.
That's right. Secure your digital life with Surfshark VPN. You can hit the link below for 4 extra months of Surfshark, either on the podcast page or on the YouTube channel. Don't let online threats catch you off guard. This has been your tech update. You want to keep your data safe and make sure you check out Surfshark today. It's a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can secure your digital world right now.
I'm not sure how familiar you were with the negotiations with the Arenado to the Astros before. Clearly, the Astros had that money to use. They spent that money elsewhere. They already got Isaac Paredes. Is there any chance, if these other options, you said Gino Suarez, that it reopens with the Astros? Or is it like Dana Brown says, no thanks, like you already spurned us once and we were going to pay down your contract?
Yeah, I don't think Houston's going to be an option from what I'm hearing, to be honest. I think there's still a chance that the Tigers could be another option. They want Suarez. They thought they were going to get Suarez when Will Vest hit him in the knuckles. Luckily, the CAT scan came back negative. So I do think Suarez is going to be traded. The problem is there's so many teams in on him, right? You got the Seattle Mariners are in on him. Milwaukee Brewers are in on him. The Cubs, the Mets, the Phillies, so many teams in on Suarez that who knows where he's going, right? But I think if Arenado is traded, I don't know if he's going to waive the no trade to Detroit. He didn't do it in the offseason. I would think he might this time around when he looks at Detroit. You know, they're going to finish in first. They got a great pitching staff. I would think he might reconsider, but I haven't heard anything. I know John Mozeliak was going to talk to him, and then I never heard another word on how that discussion went, and the Cardinals haven't told me anything. So we'll have to wait and see, but it doesn't sound like Houston's an option for Arenado from what I'm hearing.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, people say he doesn't want to go to a winner or whatever. That's dumb. He's comfortable, and he has that right. What I want to know, Jim, is as you said, 17 years in the war room. Does the last series matter? Because everyone keeps talking, they're playing, the Rays are playing the Yankees, and how did the Cubs and the Brewers play each other, and how does this team do against this? Does it really matter, or do you already have your mind made up before those 3 games? Because tomorrow there's only 3 games on the schedule in total. So do those 4 games leading up to the deadline really matter that much?
AJ, it never mattered to me, ever, when I sat in that seat. I always felt like you need to know what your team is, regardless of the standings. And if you don't know what it is, I'm not sure you're right for the job. But I'll be honest, the one thing I learned, surprisingly, is whether GMs are evaluating their own team or whether they're evaluating players, recency bias matters to a lot more people than you'd think. And that is one of the parts of this game that absolutely shocked me. I remember when I needed to move John Smiley's contract. He was making $4.6 million a year, and he had like 4 or 5 really bad starts in June. And I had a veteran baseball guy, Hall of Famer Pat Gillick, tell me, "Don't worry, the way this industry works, he puts together 3 or 4 good starts, you'll be able to move at the deadline." This is exactly what John Smiley did, and I traded him for Danny Graves, who ended up being the greatest, saves guy in Reds history. So, recency bias matters. It's like Alcantara. Honestly, last Friday, the Marlins did not think he was going to be traded. Then he shut out the Padres for 7 innings. Then last night he shut out the Cardinals for 5 innings, and all of a sudden someone wants to pay the price based on 2 starts. I don't completely get it. And with teams, the Giants were buying a week ago. Today they're selling. I don't know. It happens. I mean, I think you should know by the time you get here, and what you do the last couple of weeks, whether it be a player or a team outside of an injury. Yeah, I don't think it should matter, but for some teams it does. And if you're the GM or president, know what teams that matter with. I always studied what players were slumping, what players' value was going down in their team, because I felt like I could take advantage of it.
JB, quick follow-up on the Giants. What do you think that they'll sell? Yeah, they're 5 games out. I mean, they're in worse shape than the Cardinals.
Bullpen. Yeah,
bullpen.
Scott, great question. The bullpen, Doval. And it changed today. They were saying, we don't know what we're going to do. We're going to think. I had one GM last night going, we don't know what Texas or San Francisco is going to do. I said, well, I know Texas is buying. Okay, they want a reliever and a right-hand hitter. They're buying. They're not selling. I said, but the Giants, I don't know. Last time I heard they were trying to buy a bat. And that was just a couple of days ago. And then all of a sudden, now we're hearing that they'll talk about the relievers. And look, I don't blame them. There's so many relievers out there, and people think we're going to see some overpays with some really good young position players being traded for them. And people want to be a part of it. And I totally get it. Look, in my career, I traded so many relievers. I traded Jeff Shaw for Paul Konerko, turned him into Mike Cameron, turned him into Ken Griffey. I traded Jeff Brantley for Dimitri Young. I traded Dave Berber for Sean Casey. I'll trade relievers all day long. I'll get another one. I'll go find one. You can make relievers today. Everybody throws 100. Everybody has these great breaking balls. Go find them in the minor leagues. We got all kinds of relievers sitting there waiting to be developed. Go do that. If I could trade a reliever for an everyday position player, amen, all day long.
All right, real quick, one team. Who makes the biggest impact move between now and tomorrow? What team? One
Buyer
team.
or seller? Buyer or
Buyer.
seller?
I don't care about seller. I want buyers.
Phillies.
I want to win. Phillies.
All right, I'm going Phillies. I think Dave Dombrowski's going to make a slamming move or two. That's what I think. I think it's going to be huge. I also think Jerry Dipoto's not done. I think he's getting a reliever and maybe even another bat. But if I had to pick one team, I'm going Dave Dombrowski. It's his time. We watched him win a World Series with the Marlins, right? We watched him win a World Series with the Red Sox. We saw him take the Tigers to the World Series, the Phillies to the World Series, but he's never won one in Philly. This is the group he wants to win with, and this is the best team he's had, the best chance he's had. He's going to pay a price that he doesn't normally pay. One of his top prospects is going to be gone tomorrow.